You are welcome to the children. Okay. Hear me out. I think you guys really liked the wrap of the last episode, but I fear that I cannot keep up. The children and the media. So I had an idea to do, those songs that they do. The key will now go up. Sorry, all these random ideas. I don't change intro for the fourth time. I'm still trying to find what works. But random facts, this is the 5th episode of this podcast. And I'm so grateful. My heart is so full because we are 45 on YouTube, 45 whole subscribers. And there's a way I imagine those type of metrics. I often think for some people that might be a small number, but sometimes I think of, what if I'm just sitting down in a space and there are 45 people listening to me talk about the things I'm talking about. It's so fascinating because 45 is a large number. I mean, that's huge. There are companies that don't have up to 45 staff, to be fair. They are, it's like having 45 friends or, in other words, I just want to say that I'm so grateful. Thank you guys so much for listening, for giving great feedback, don't worry, I'll still figure out a suitable intro. Should we still go with the soprano? Should we go with the rap? Should we go with the serious vibe? I think that's one of the things you guys should let me know about. Yeah. But you are welcome to another episode of the Children and the Media podcast. I remain your able host, Christabel Nnamdi. Don't worry, we'll soon get to a stage where we start having guests. But until then, I mean, you people will like me until I start bringing special guests. And okay, even when I do, I hope you guys do like me. But welcome to today's episode of the podcast. We are still on the Sharenting conversation. I think the Sharenting series is running for 3-4 episodes. And for those who don't know, this is a bi-weekly podcast. So that means we have basically 2 podcasts in a month, 2 episodes. Or depending on, how the month is going. I think there's a month in this year we're going to have 3 episodes in a year. But on average, it's a bi-weekly podcast, so just 2 a month. Great spacing. So it's easy for you to keep up. If you have not listened to other episodes, I'm judging you like mad. No, seriously. I'm judging you. But yeah, today's episode is Sharenting 102. And Sharenting 102, last week we looked at a lot of things, for the parents, the intro part of Sharenting. This week we are looking at Sharenting through the child's eyes. And this is so good because I think especially here in Africa, we have a culture of looking at children as if they don't have sense. And let me explain. I think not even just in Africa. But in the Bible, there's somewhere where Apostle Paul tells Timothy stuff like, don't let anybody look down on you because you are young. To give you a bit of context to why he would write that type of thing in a letter to Timothy is, Timothy called him the pastor or bishop of a church. And he was a teenager. I think he was either a teenager or in his 20s, and of course, most of the people in faith were older. I'm sure you have even seen somebody older say that about young pastors, that pastor, is he not a small boy or things like that? And we extend the same thing to children. A child wakes up and even though their mood is not great, and of course, because they are children, they are not mature enough to handle it. You see, come on, get out of me while you, that's an adult. You wake up and you don't know why you're just on edge that day. You're just super irritated by a lot of things. You're you can't. I always feel when you see the world through the eyes of children, you understand children are exactly adults, to an extent. They are just like miniature humans, and the kind of understanding you'd extend to somebody like, this one way this person they do like this, so maybe she didn't sleep well, maybe she doing this, maybe you should extend that understanding to children. You should consider like, what if she's just having a bad day? What if he's just tired? I'm about to judge schools because I think that new generation schools bombard. Oh God, I know they talk with cause I before educators will come from my neck. But I have an unpopular take that they bombard children with like way too much assignments, and that the only time you have a life to play is when you're a child. And so we have a generation of people who will grow up who didn't play as kids, of course, because digital time and screen time or whatever, too many assignments, schoolwork, excess after school activities. Then they still grow up and they realize that there's indeed no time to play as an adult. All those lies they tell you, don't worry, when you grow up, you have time, you figure. I'm from the future and I'm here to tell you that you will not figure anything out. Better play. But yeah, like I was saying, I think today's episode is so important because we are just basically, looking at sharenting through the eyes of kids and understanding how it affects children emotionally, psychologically, digitally. And I always like to bring a lot of the episodes down to like the Nigerian context. I'm Nigerian. Sorry to my listeners. Oh, well, not sorry to my listeners in other parts of the world. I think in more episodes or, more seasons of the podcast, as God will have it, we can discuss, like particular countries, especially when we start to bring in guests and everything. But yeah, for now, Niger for life. OGs would know where that line is from. I can't believe I'm this old. Oh my goodness. Okay. So, Sharenting 102, and we will be examining sharenting through the eyes of kids. So, you know how they say children are the future, and I'm sure you have heard all those songs. We are the world, we are the world, we are the children. Okay, no, there's this one that is so apt. I believe the children are a future, let them. Hey, the song is no more downloading in my head. But you get the point, like children are the future. But what we are failing to understand is with the way we are sharing about children, we have already started curating the future. Like we have. And a 2016 study by the University of Michigan, random geek facts. So I watch American football, or at least I started, and I watch college ball as well. I think Tom Brady went to the University of Michigan. They are called Wolverines or something. I can't remember their mascots, but they have like a long college rivalry with some schools like either Alabama or Ohio, like Ohio State college football team, or very random geek facts. Again, like I think that's just how I act. But yeah, a 2016 study by the University of Michigan showed that 75% of parents admitted to posting their children online. That's quite something. But more than half of children aged 10 to 12 said they felt embarrassed, uncomfortable, tired, and frustrated by the things their parents shared. To be fair, I've watched TikToks where the mother go talk. Elena just failed her math test again today. What do you mean? Is giving, oh, my baby girl is a dolo, or I don't know what you're trying to achieve. But sometimes think for a minute. Imagine if your child went to social media to post, especially with that horrible culture that Nigerian schools have. I hope that they are doing away with it, or they have done away with it. That thing where somebody doesn't pay school fees, then they'll tell the child to go and stand under the sun. That's one of the many things that don't make sense about our educational system. I don't know why you think that somebody who has no control over finances, maybe by the child standing under the sun, they'll now go home and say, Mommy, the sun was scourging me today. Please pay my school fees. Daddy. There are many things we need to talk about in this country, but that's by the way. Imagine if your child went to social media to go and say, oh my God, my mom didn't pay school fees for the 10th time. My dad was not able to buy books for the 100th time. And guys, I was under the sun. The way people do like a day in my life. Your child did a day in the life and said, just standing under the sun because once again my parents failed. How will you feel? Exactly. Think about it. That's almost how a 10-year-old will feel when you go online to post, Jude just failed his English testing. Exactly. Think about it. Like, I can't even imagine how uncomfortable that feels like. And then you now have some parents come in subsequent videos like, oh, did she eventually pass? Oh my god. Or you post, he has been struggling with his music classes. Or this information you should not produce at gunpoint. I firmly believe that. Like, or maybe when the person is like getting married or has close friends, you can disclose some type of information, but please, I don't think we should be telling the world some things about children. But moving forward, another 2019 report by the UK Children's Commissioner found out that the average child has over 1,300 digital photos of them online by age 13. So let me give you a bit of context as to why we have studies like that. In research, I'm a researcher, of course, so there's something we call longitudinal studies, or rather, longitudinal study is a research method. It often involves repeated observation on the same variables over an extended period of time, sometimes many years, many decades. So a lot of vaccines that you see, a lot of medical breakthroughs and solutions, sometimes part of the research, methods they employ are longitudinal. So maybe the same group of people, some studies on children that you hear, they studied some people from their childhood to adulthood. Sometimes they might have like an agreement either with some pregnant women who deliver, or maybe a group of mothers who have babies the same age, and they register them. Of course, consents. There are so many ethical, signings and everything that goes into the process of conducting a longitudinal study. But at the end of the day, like, they're able to get those people and monitor the same set of people for a prolonged period of time. And so for them to have kids who were 13 as of 2019, I'm sure that they decided 13 years back to reach out to some parents, and they have consistently, monitored them. So studies like this, I usually appreciate longitudinal studies because, first of all, the researchers who do them, it takes a lot of perseverance to go through it. And that's why you hear some people that this person has been a researcher for 20 years. You may see that they have only done two notable things, but they have dedicated their life's work to this kind of intensive research. And they found that the average child has over 1,300 photos of them online, many of which they didn't consent to. I'm not even going to go into the consent part because I don't think that it's like, even when we post our kids on social media to wish them happy birthday, I don't think children are able to tell you, oh, don't wish me happy birthday online or not. Or sometimes they are so grateful when you read out the wishes to them and things like that. But I mean, the long and short of what we're trying to say is that there is quite the digital footprint for some children before they're adults. Like, imagine turning, and we're going to have that. I think that might be another longitudinal study that will come out in a couple of years or maybe a decade, because we're going to have a generation of children who turn 13, and your parents will give you an Instagram account that already has 24,000 followers, that has like 600 and something or 1,000 plus videos, pictures, like, you have a whole digital presence, you have online aunties, uncles. Like, it will be interesting to see what this type of study will show us about some, because I'm sure that there are some kids that they are probably monitoring in the next 10 years, when some of those kids should be, a child they gave birth to during the pandemic should be 5 now. So in the next 10 years, it will be a great time to see what this kind of studies reveal. By God's grace, we'll be there to talk about it. But yeah, the point is, sharenting is happening all around us, and we are not trying to say it's good or bad. I think the first thing we're just trying to say is curation, like curate it properly. Even the one that parents think are great, like, my child just talked about a fintech idea or Project Mbappe. Some of these, like, there might be a thing like oversharing or overexposure. And we really don't know how some kids are going to take it in the coming years. And this is why we are getting into another aspect of sharenting, which is the problem with sharenting. Again, I always reiterate this in all the episodes, that the goal of the Calm podcast is not to push fear. It's not to judge you. It's not to make you feel like you're a bad person or you're doing a horrible job, or no. Just honest conversations that I'm learning from, that you're learning from. Of course, me too, the same way you're hearing it. Me too, I read in a journal. Me too, I followed somebody's research or, studies that have been conducted over a period of time. So we are all actually in the learning process. So the problems with sharenting fall into a couple of main areas. One, emotional impact. There are some children that feel like, and there's a documentary like that on Netflix. I think maybe I'll put the name in like a social media post after this episode is out, like during the week. I think they also did a longitudinal study on some kids from like that initial YouTube era of 2007, 2009. I think they did a study on some kids like that. Some of the kids, like, their primary complaint was about not having private moments. Like, their parents were videoing everything. There was like it was like reality TV. You fart and there's a video of you farting on the internet. Guy, some crazy things. So I know these are some of the extremes. Yeah, many of you may not relate. And then the thing about like consent, of course, I still feel like maybe we'll take out like a whole episode to explore the consent thing, because there are two sides to it. A child may not really understand the gravity of this thing. So sometimes they may be like, Mommy, did you post it? Did you share it? They may even be the ones to ask you. So it's also in your place as, a mature adult to decide. We'll always continue to have these digital conversations, to be fair, because there's a lot to learn. Privacy and security risks. I think I mentioned this in the last episode. Happy birthday to my prince Chukwuka. On this day that you were born, they will mention the day. What's today's date? June XYZ or July, August 12th. A lot of... And it's so funny because when you now want to register for stuff, when they ask you security questions, there are a couple of questions. There was a time this thing happened on Twitter. Oh my goodness. But gratefully, some people clocked it as social engineering. They will ask, what was your if you're proud of your secondary school rep, everybody will post. If you are proud of your mother's maiden name, hello, are we not seeing that there's a problem? If you're proud of your mother's maiden name, share. People go share. A medium. This one, everybody don't share their mama maiden name. If you are proud of your tribal name, share. If you are from so states, share. If you are from... By the time you have shared the one for Instagram, done the one for Twitter, done the TikTok... I hate to break it to you, but if you used to hop on those trends, maybe you don't know, but now you know. You are the hacker's dream. You are the person that fraud people dream about, because they can scrape up by, like, all they need to do is just pick important, because most people's security questions know they pass this. That's your stupid ex. Post their name if you show for you. People will not write, I don't want to use somebody, Mr. XYZ from so states in Kano West, it no go better for you, or see, these are security questions. What else do you think? Well, you want to, some of these cyber attacks, like, they are not just random. Sometimes you are getting weird emails that they are trying to hack your socials, or these are the issues. And when we share stuff about children so early on, we're already building a profile that hackers can. I'm not going to go all cyber on you, but like, these are part of the things. Exploitation and monetization. I think we talked about this a bit in the last Sharenting episode about how so there is even a law in some European countries now that says, and my friend and I were just talking about this yesterday when she visited, like, I think in France or somewhere in Europe, they say that any income that is made from a child must be put into a trust. Like, the parents cannot spend this. The money is solely for the child. Don't go and say, I bought 2 singlets for he. Put it in a trust fund, because they are... Of course, we know that in Nigeria, let's even leave like the digital world aside, there are parents who pimp out their kids. Like, I'm sure we have heard gory stories like that. There are people who use their children to settle, like, let's even go cultural. There are people that the father is owing somebody money and they'll give the girl as collateral, as loan repayment, or the son, he will go and work for somebody since like, some of these things on child labor and etc, protection, and we have been having conversations like this, but now this is the digital side to it. And yeah, I mean, some kids are working hard for the money. They are literally putting clothes on their families' backs with content and etc, and there's zero protection for them. This is again one of the messy things that, it's hard to talk about, or maybe to talk about things like this. It would be great to get like a parent that has a content creator child. But yeah, I mean, so these are like some of the uncomfortable things about sharenting, some of the problems. Some people didn't start out wanting to use their children as a means of livelihood, but things just ran out of hand and here we are. Next on our agenda is, just looking at how sharenting shows up, what sharenting looks like. And why I'm saying that is because there's a side to sharenting that is not bad. I think there's even a research that shows that grandparents who get constant updates about their kids feel closer to them, especially in our world where the grandparents are living in maybe Kaduna. The parents have been living in Canada for 3 years and haven't been able to quite return to Nigeria, but they have shared every single video, picture, and milestone privately with the grandparents. Like, so even if the grandparents have not seen the child, sometimes the children even take the phone by themselves, video call grandpa and grandma. That's so cute. There's the great side to it. Nigerian parents love WhatsApp, to be fair. No kind of fake news. Go see. But the thing is, I strongly, and one of the reasons why as a person I prefer WhatsApp to an extent is I think it has fair privacy settings. You can set who gets to see your updates. You can decide what to share on group chats and different things, and And now I'm seeing that a lot of moms especially are grabbing the wisdom. People post pictures of their kids in uniforms and maybe blur out the school badge, stuff like that. Or they don't post their children with their school bag, or, items you can use to identify the child. Just stuff like, I'm impressed. That means that somebody somewhere is preaching the word, and we need like messages like this to go viral. We need more people to know stuff about, sharing things about their kids. Facebook, if it's 2025, you are still sharing sensitive things about your kids on Facebook. I don't know, but like, again, I said, we're not judging you, but I think there are even people who share their children's results on Facebook, like to snap with the name arts and crafts, 80% civic education. First of all, I know it's in our culture for parents to brag about their child or their children. I mean, if you have ever had like an educational milestone, just watch your parents go off randomly. I have this friend. He said his sister graduated with a first class from Unizik, and he said somebody will be talking about something random like, oh, Nigeria is hard. His father from nowhere will just say, at least my daughter had first class in pharmacy. What can we do? Like, very randomly. And I know that that's like a thing in the culture, but I think we should also still protect children while sharing their wins and sharing their milestones. This is not even because of juju or anything. There's also a side to that, please. But I don't talk the one way they go use enter comment section. Please, my points, I did say don't share because of enemies or haters. I just mean privacy settings. Just protect your child the best way that you know to do. On Instagram and TikTok, I feel like the two of them are twins, or how do some people say it, two twins. Please, that's wrong. But my point is, Instagram and TikTok are basically like twins. People repurpose content for one of the apps and share to the other, basically. So yeah, we see so much content on kids on these two apps. My goodness. Bath time, praying, sleeping, singing, dancing, school runs, karaoke, playing games, punishments, tantrum. There are some children accounts, like, of course, everybody loves kids. They are so adorable. But even me, like, I watch those accounts and I don't know how to feel because I think this is too much information. It's like, let me give you an example of too much information. And even as an adult, some of the things like we talk about on this podcast, you can introspect and just think deeply on them. So there was a girl that posted something on her TikTok and said some people at the gym reached out to her that she has body odor. First of all, that might have happened, no doubt. People reached out to you to tell you that they think you smell, and you sat down and recorded a video about it. She now recorded the video to debunk the rumors. Excuse me, is it us online that accused you? Is the people in the gym you should explain yourself? And like, this is another weird thing. I don't know how it became a culture, but it's not normal. You really don't have to explain. Do you know that sometimes, like, there have been times I wanted to post stuff, and because it's such a thing now, like, I'll read the caption and I'm like, what? All these things, need the rara, unnecessary, my dear. This explanation, nobody asked you. Just delete it. Or if you just want to talk, just yap with your full chest, just talk. Don't come and we are not. You start relationship, you explain. You end, you explain. You go explain, no evidence. And I think that behavior, we are doing it for children as well. We decided to name her Luna, the moon, the sun. We did not ask you. That explanation is for people who attended your child dedication. The pastor and the people there that will ask you the meaning of this explanation you are giving us is for them. We are just seeing your baby bump and telling you congrats, you actually don't owe us this. And I'm sorry this sounds so harsh, but remember the video of that girl that was explaining to us about, she doesn't smell, sometimes she might be. I felt for her in many ways. First of all, I wish I could give her a hug. Secondly, I think that if you have great friends in real life, like physical friends, and you practice opening up to your friends more, you open up to your friends more in a way that there are many things you will not tell us on social media. Sorry, I'm deviating. That's like, this episode, so deviation. That's an unpopular take of mine, because I think some of the things that we share with a wider audience are better shared with one or two people or the friend group chats. Yeah, because there's a friend group chat I have, and a friend of ours has a kid, and we get steady updates. And I don't think a lot of the things she has shared with us, we never see them online. So yeah, curated audience is a thing. Twitter or LinkedIn, everybody just they share. LinkedIn, they try to make it inspirational. Same old. My son had been failing math. Here is how he used resilience to overcome. And I know there is a great post for Monday inspiration. You can use it for professional clout. All of you are in the same boss. You are in the same boss with the person that posted. My goodness. The studies will be interesting in the coming years. And I'm not saying this in a sarcastic way or in a bad way, but I think that truly, especially for the kids who were born in the pandemic, like children born in 2020, I'm so sure there are some researchers that are currently doing a study, and we're going to hear about it in the coming years. For children like that who were literally born into the time of dancing online, I hope you know that there are some children that from the day they were born, TikTok dancing challenges was a thing. Music was specifically designed so that the artist could create a dance challenge and the song would go viral. So it will be interesting to see those studies in the coming years. Anyways, my point is sharenting shows up in different ways. This might be you going over. I have an interesting checklist, but it is if you come back next episode. That checklist is for how you can, know if what you're posting online is great, or let me not give away too much. Are there legal protections for children when you share online? I'm not going to say anything fresh. Go and listen to the legal frameworks that protects Nigerian children online on the CAM podcast. I have 2 episodes where I talked about the laws in this country, use cases, and etc. But you need to know that for Nigeria, the legal framework that protects children online is quite scanty. Some might consider it obsolete, but who am I? Let's just pray that the law works. Whatever law exists, let's just pray that it works. Because I'm seeing like a resurgence of the cybersecurity, cybercrime laws. And one thing with Nigeria is the law will look like it's not working, but the day they will remember you. It's like the tax laws in this country. I think that one day, they used to fall out. Anyways, a child's right to digital silence and consent. And so with consent, I think that is one of the things that parents should have conversations with children about. Like I said in one of the episodes, I think it was the second legal frameworks episode, the way we now have conversations with children about naming the body parts, about private parts, about consent, about telling adults no, or, all those conversations to have with potential predators and all those type of people. Some of those things, because there are sometimes that you see videos of people who stop children on the road and ask, what is your name? Can you spell this? Can you this? What school do you attend? Like people accost kids coming back from school and ask them a lot of these personal questions. The same way we teach children to say no to things, don't follow strangers, maybe we should teach children that when they encounter people like that, please say no. Don't even tell them your name. Don't just politely decline. Please, can I go now? Because they are very weird people. I've seen some content like that on TikTok. It might be funny, it might be entertaining, but we are laughing at a child's expense. Those videos never go away. Next thing, we'll see Holy Airball in the next 10 years. I was the child that they stopped to ask her to spell sunshine or how to do a tongue twister. The sun shall soon shine. The thing already they twist my tongue. But we should teach children that they have a right to digital silence. Like, it is okay for them not to have a curated social media. It's okay. that when you're 18, you start your journey by yourself. Maybe you just give them a hard drive with the pictures and videos there, or even if you made an account, maybe the account has been private all these years with only 5 followers, you, your husband, and 3 trusted friends. And then when the child now turns a certain age, they can decide if they want to archive the photos, delete, or I know somebody that runs an account like that for their child. And it's quite interesting because that's a nice concept. So like the child is on social media, but not exactly. The account is private and it has only 5 followers. And I don't think they intend to accept anybody. I think they just keep posting stuff there. But again, in the last episode, I explored something funny called ownership. And I think if you're posting stuff that you don't really have backed up anyway, that's another thing you should consider. Food for thought. Lastly, what should parents do? What should Nigerian adults do? Again, you know that on this podcast, we're not just talking to parents. We talk to concerned adults. The auntie, the uncle, the teacher, the cousin, what should you do? Pause before you post. Ask yourself, am I sharing private information? If it was me they share this thing about, will I like it? Does it help me? Use privacy settings and privacy tools. This is so important. And that's why I truly appreciate the concept of Snapchat. I believe that Snapchat has a great privacy. Okay, aside the fact that somebody can use another phone and record your snaps or whatever, but you can curate Snapchat in a way that if something leaks, you can be able to use Lannister wisdom to know who has leaked it. You get people who know Lannister wisdom. I will know. Don't worry, this is not the podcast to explain. Go watch Game of Thrones. I do not recommend it for you, but just don't post. Don't post in real time. I'm so glad that we're having that conversation right now. There are a lot of things please don't post in real time. Maybe post like 3 days later, or I don't know. Sometimes practice asking for consent. So the way we are teaching parents, it's okay to apologize to your children. You will not die. You can just tell them, please, auntie was just going through a lot. She shouldn't have shouted at you. And you too, sometimes try and ask your children, do you think it's okay if I test the waters with that? And lastly, educate yourself. I think it's great that that's exactly what this podcast is doing for you. I strongly believe, and not to brag, but I think if you listen to this podcast, this is the 5th episode of the podcast so far. I think you must have learned not just stuff about kids, but you must have learned something about cybersecurity. You must have learned something about like a digital presence or digital footprint. I think there are just some random things you must have learned on the podcast that you use for your own self. So there we have it. We are now in a world where we must learn how to manage the digital identity of children and just a lot of stuff. So thank you so much for listening. I think we'll close Sharenting out in our next episode. Yeah. So in the next episode, we'll be talking about solutions and stuff like that. We'll also be talking about if there are any upsides to Sharenting, because I really want us to have a balanced conversation. And then I mentioned that I'll share a checklist that you can use like a guide when you want to share stuff about kids thanks so much. You guys are the real OGs. This episode is almost 40 minutes. Wow. Thanks for listening. Please, like our socials. Love it that you guys are following on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. But please go to Instagram, _podcast_. Follow. Same thing for Twitter, same thing for Threads. Yeah, I think these are our platforms for now, like our socials. Please follow, please share with a friend, with a person. The person that is dating, share it with them. Since you know how to fall in love, you might as well be listening. Gear up on how to, the person that is a teacher, share it with them. The school owner, we all know somebody that has a school. Share it with them. The person who has a niece, nephew, share it with everybody. Every single. And I think everybody should listen, because like I said, there are some general tips that you can use for your personal life. Okay, not to overflog. Thanks so much for having me. I'm so grateful. Thank you for making it to episode 5. See you in the next 2 weeks. Bye.